doing the baptizing, do they have to have some kind of credentials, degree, appointment or something? It'd be like me walking up and trying to baptize Kenneth there. I've got no credentials behind me to say I am able to do that. Is that the case?
No. The hesitation there is not everyone's going to agree with that. You go from like the Catholic Church, where baptism is a sacrament and only the priest is allowed to, and I mean, anyone else doing it doesn't count, right? Only the priest dispenses a sacrament because he is the representative of God to bestow this grace upon you. And then your other denominations that are higher church, then it would be the pastor or the clergy that would do that. I don't actually see that biblically. But biblically, it just seems, like it says that John and his disciples were baptizing, or Jesus and his disciples were baptizing. Well, at the time, whenever Jesus and his disciples were going out, and it says that his disciples were baptizing, who were they? They were fishermen, right? Who were they to baptize anybody?
And the second point I wanted there to John the Baptist and Jesus. Now, we all know Jesus being the Messiah. Yeah, I think he had some credentials on him. But John the Baptist baptized him. Now, what I was getting at is, who told him he could do that?
Well, now,
Give him the authority to do that.
if you remember when we talked about John the Baptist, he comes with a pedigree. John the Baptist isn't someone just wandering out of the wilderness dunking people in the river. His father was a priest. His mom was a daughter of Aaron. He would have been a known among the Jerusalem community. There's belief that he, belonged to a particular sect of Judaism and would have been a recognized rabbi. And so John the Baptist kind of had credentials. Plus the fact that he was basically the last Old Testament style prophet. So his credentials came from God. That he was a prophet just like Elijah or Samuel or Nathan, and so that was his credentials. Yeah.
But would this idea of the individual priesthood of the believer be relevant?
Yes. Yeah. The Bible talks about priesthood of believers. That there's one priest. There's one priest that's God. I mean, it's Jesus. Jesus is the priest. He's the go-between between us and God. And kind of this priesthood of believers idea. Holy Spirit's in us. I kind of heard it described a little bit like the temple is the place where man goes to meet God, right? In the Old Testament, you have the tabernacle, then you have the temple, and that's where people go to meet God. Where do people go to meet God now? Where's the temple now? The Bible says, don't you know your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit? Right? And so it's just kind of this idea that that's been, the veil was torn. There is no more barrier between man and God. You have the priesthood of believers. To where the difference between me as the pastor and you is position, is function and role in the body. I'm not any special sanctified that I'm able to dispense these, ordinances and these sacraments. But between us and God and everything, my special is just that my calling is to study and learn and proclaim. And so I don't think that necessitates that you have to be me in order to baptize. On that front, there's no difference between the preacher and the pew sitters.
Apply that same concept to performing marriage ceremony.
Oh, she got me there. Yeah, I think you can. I don't really, because in the marriage ceremony, as far as the state is concerned, it's my signature.
Yeah, you got to get into it.
Okay, but they're going to stand here in front of me and God and who? Everyone else gathered proclaiming. So just because I'm the one that walks them through the ceremony, I'm the one that makes them married. Right? It's their vows to one another before God and the. Now, yeah, I think when it comes to something like marriage, there's more involved. I think there needs to be counseling and that sort of thing involved. Not just kind of, sure, come on, let's do it, so. Yeah.
Mark, if the law of the land says that you have to record a marriage to make it legal, and you have no legal standing because you're not licensed, how can I perform a civilian ceremony of marriage and then record it in public record and then stand?
Well, actually, what's interesting is in the state of Texas, no one checks. No one checks in the state of Texas.
No one checks?
By
Credentials of the one performing.
right, by law, they're supposed to be ordained or some kind of recognized officiant, able to do that. There is no mechanism in the state of Texas to verify and check that.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Well, I wasn't
But-
concerned about the ordained.
Right, well,
I'm concerned
but-
about the licensing from the state.
The state doesn't license people to marry. I don't have a certificate from the state saying you are allowed to marry people.
Okay, you're licensed to minister, correct?
Right.
Okay, and you're licensed through whom?
Church.
Okay, so you do have legal standing in an organized religion that's recognized by the state,
Correct.
so you can marry people.
Right.
I'm a drunk on the street, and I'm gonna marry somebody because they're drunk too. And then I'm gonna run down and say, hey, register this thing because I married you on Thursday night at 2 a.m.
Well, that would be a failing of the state that they don't measure that. I mean, if someone goes in, gets their license, comes to you, you sign it, they take it back, and the state registers it and records it, and now considers them married. Well, that's a failing of the state, maybe, but among believers, I think
Yeah.
the issue has to do with among the community of believers. Does
What is that marriage anyway if it's not representing Christ's relationship to the church, right?
right?
I mean, so to what extent do we even call that sort of arrangement marriage theologically?
Right.
Now, the state, that's in my opinion, the state might call it marriage. I would call it a civil union.
Right. I mean, like with baptism, and this one's going a little long, so we'll wrap it up. But like with baptism, if your kid or grandkid or someone, or maybe the person that you brought to Christ, that you're the one that knelt with them whenever they called on the Lord, and it would just, you're their mentor, and for you to be the one to baptize them, I don't have a problem with that at all. I don't think that is anything where it's necessary that it has to be the pastor. Like I said, with marriage, I don't think that theologically it needs to be the pastor, but as a practical sense, I think it should be. Or someone recognized, clergy leader in the church, just for practical reasons. I don't know that I could find a theological reason why it would need to be. Like I said, priesthood of believers, but as a practical matter, I think that having an authority to oversee and officiate that. Make sense? Yeah.